If you're struggling with the fear of failure and it's keeping you from achieving your dreams, I'm here to tell you that you can overcome this and break through these fears to achieve your business goals. In today's video, I'm going to share with you what my biggest fears were before starting my business and how I overcame them, and of course, how you can too. So let's start off with the obvious one. I had huge fears about quitting my job. Now, back in 2015, I started my entrepreneurial journey with a side hustle on Amazon. And over the next few years, I was able to grow that to about $10,000 to $20,000 per month. And I hit the point where it was time for me to quit my full-time job that was providing for me and my family. And I wanted to pursue this entrepreneurial venture. And so whenever I quit in February of 2018, I was so worried about all of these things, such as, would I even be able to continue making more money? Would the time that I'm going to apply to my Amazon business allow me to actually grow the revenue and grow the profits and support me and my family at that point? Additionally, I was worried about being able to manage and run and grow a team of people that could actually continue to support all these systems that I had built in the business. And I was worried just about not having other people telling me what to do. Now, that's a blessing and a curse whenever you quit your job or whenever you decide to go full-time on an entrepreneurial venture, is that you don't have somebody telling you what to do. But at the time, I was worried. I didn't know what to do with my day. I was so used to getting up, going to an office where I sold insurance actually, and I had a direction for my day because the company gave me that direction. Here's who you need to call. Here are the things that you need to do. Whenever I quit my job, it was something that I was afraid because I didn't know what I should do with my day. Now, the way that I overcame this initial fear of not being able to support me or my family and replace the amount of income that I was making from my job was really just looking at the opportunity from a logical perspective, that if I was working in my side hustle at 10, 20 hours a week on the weekends and at nights, what if I were to take my full-time amount of time and put that towards the business? If I were to able to double the amount of time I'm putting into this business, then theoretically, I would be able to also double the business itself because I'd be placing more time into the business. So just taking that step back and looking, okay, if I were to add more time into this business, does this make sense to where I could actually grow it? And if that's the case, then that's what I came up with. It was the case. Then ultimately, you've got a lot more confidence in being able to overcome that fear. But the second thing to look at with this fear of not being able to make enough money once you quit your job or whatever that fear may be, is to see, is this a scalable opportunity? Is this something that I can train other people to do certain activities in my business and they'd be able to do those almost as well as I would be? Now, I came to the conclusion that that was the case. And so I decided to quit my job in February of 2018 and have never looked back. I have seen so many opportunities where I can't ever imagine going back to being an employee because I've been an entrepreneur for so long. I love making my own schedule and controlling the direction of my business. Now, another big fear of mine at this time was also, if this didn't work out, what would that mean or say about me? Now, not just what would other people think about me, but also what would that mean to me about who I was? If I were to leave my job and pursue this venture full time, does that mean that I'm not smart enough to do this? Does that mean that I'm a failure? Does that mean that I'm no good in all of these other areas? I can't lead a team, that I'm not able to delegate processes, I'm not able to manage my time, I'm not able to be successful, and that I have to always rely on other people. And this is something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs and people don't really think about as a fear in their back of their minds, but it truly does come down to this. Now, this is a common fear that many people have, is that if I do this venture, this activity, and it doesn't work out, what will I think about myself? What will my friends, my family, other people think about me? What will my spouse and my children think about me? And this can be a scary topic to really dig deep down and figure out in your own self. And the reason this can be so scary is because a lot of times, at least with myself, I realized that I was ascribing the success or the lack of success that I would have to my own value and worth as a human being. And that just is simply a false, reality, that a lot of people take a look at what other people are doing in their lives, the successes, the failures they have, and they look at it from a business standpoint and they place that worth of that activity or that time onto who they are as a person. And we can really start to create almost idols out of the work that we are doing, and we start to really look at our own selves based on the value of whatever our business activities are. And that's a dangerous place to be. Now, over time, as I grew in being an entrepreneur and as I started to kind of realize realize that I was ascribing my success or failures to who I was and the worth and value that I provided as a person. Over time, I realized the way to kind of overcome this. And I actually train on this particular topic of how do we experience failure? What are the feedback loops we're telling ourselves? I train on this in my course, and I've talked about it in other videos on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested in checking out my Amazon FBA Replens course, where I also talk about this topic, then I recommend going to bit.ly/PAC, PACCOURSE. And whenever you go there and you sign up for the course, one of the modules in there is how do you deal with failure? How is it that we handle things that come our way in our businesses that are difficult or struggles for our business? And the thing about feedback loops is that once you experience a failure in your business, let's say you have one failure, maybe you go out and you try a new marketing activity and it doesn't work. Or maybe you go and you try to find new products to sell in your business and those products fail. Well, many times people will see that failure and they'll give themselves the feedback. They'll tell themselves that they're stupid, they're no good, all these other people are doing this the right way, they'll never figure it out, etc. Instead, what we need to do is focus on that failure or that difficulty being a piece of data. And it's something that's telling us, okay, whatever we just did not work. And so we can avoid that in the future. We can learn from it. But ultimately, it has nothing to do with our worth or our value. And it's so important as being an entrepreneur. What are you telling yourself as you go through struggles in your business? Are you telling yourself that you're no good? Are you telling yourself that, hey, this didn't work, so now I can learn, I can grow, and I can move on from there? Another fear that I had whenever I was starting out on my entrepreneurial journey is actually an odd one that many people probably don't think about right away. But it was that once my business grew, I had a fear that I wouldn't be able to handle the cash flow well. Now, the reason for this is because as an Amazon FBA business owner, you have tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars per month that flow through your Amazon account once you become successful in it. But ultimately, that cash flow can become overwhelming because you can mismanage that very easily. You can start buying worse products because you want to keep up the sales volume. You can start hiring out activities that you don't need to hire out just yet that can hurt your bottom line. And so my fear was that I would take this cash flow and I would not know how to manage it, and I would just allow it to just be a thing that I wanted to spend because the money came back in. Now, in any business that you have, whether it's Amazon, whether it's a service-based marketing business, whatever it might be, you're going to have more cash coming in than most likely you've ever had to deal with before in your personal life, especially if you've just had a job. But with a business, you have a bunch of expenses to pay. You have a bunch of revenue, and then you can pay yourself a salary after all of that. And so you're going to have a lot of capital coming through. And this is kind of the difficult part of running any business, especially for people that may not be as good at handling the money side of it. Now, I'm blessed to have a CPA as a mother, and so she helped me quite a bit in setting up systems and things so that I would know how to handle that capital. But there are some things that you can do as well. Now, specifically for an Amazon business, but also for other businesses, the one thing that I recommend people learn so that you can have a better understanding on capital management and cash flow is called the Profit First method of bookkeeping. Now, I actually have a book that's called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. You can see that here. And in this book, he breaks down how as you get capital coming into your business, it becomes important to set aside different accounts for profit, different accounts for taxes, expenses, costs of goods sold, and other things. And I've done breakdowns actually on my YouTube channel for Profit First, specifically for e-commerce sellers, and just the basic suggestions that I have seen people make on how to handle the capital in your account. So if you're an e-commerce seller, go check that out. And if you aren't, be sure to check it out because a lot of those principles apply one way or the other to whatever business that you run. But this Profit First method of bookkeeping gives you a good handle on how do we set up the right systems so that we aren't overspending on things, that we are accounting for the inventory that we've purchased and the profit that we're making, the taxes that we're going to get hit with throughout the year and after the end of the year. All of these things are broken down both in that book and in my YouTube channel where I've discussed Profit First quite extensively and given a good overview of that. And for anybody that's doing e-commerce, I recommend going to ecommerceaccountingllc.com. That is the CPA, actually my mom's CPA business. And so I recommend her because she has had years of tax and bookkeeping experience and it specializes from an e-commerce standpoint, but she also can handle other firms and other businesses. So as you can tell, I had a number of fears before I really dove in full time into my Amazon business. And what really has helped me throughout throughout that entire period is being surrounded by a lot of a community that can help me in those fears, but also in being able to take a step back, look at the fear logically, look at the fear as a data point, something that I am not saying about myself, but what does this actually mean and how can I overcome this? Most fears that you have from a business standpoint just come from a lack of knowledge. They come from not knowing what you should do and being scared that you can't figure out what to do. And so if you allow yourself the freedom to experience that and the freedom to learn during this process of becoming an entrepreneur or handling different struggles in your business as you grow, then you're going to come up with solutions that you need to apply into your business that help kind of solve those fears that you've been having. Now, if you related to this video or you have some other fears that you're trying to overcome, I'd love to hear about those in the comments, so be sure to comment down below. I hope this video blesses you and helps you, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.